bit of a trade-off, you know. In China, the watch is $4, and I send it to Europe, and it's $100. This is a craft, and I started selling it in galleries and what have you. And then I started making clocks. Now this is 1 meter diameter, and this started selling in galleries and what have you. And I really, so for me, you know, whatever I find around me, I will find a way to make something and sell it. I even started designing things in restaurants. This is this was actually one of those restaurants in Hong Kong that lasts for as long as a lease. You know, I'm actually doing another restaurant in Paris at the minute using this local technique, which I found very beautiful. You know, after half an hour, this will make sense, some sort of sense. But just, you know, bear with me while I rabbit on. What I loved was one of the benefits. One of the greatest moments for me was when the world recession began, because the US dollar dropped, manufacturing went down in Europe, and all of a sudden, a lot of manufacturers came to me and said, "We need help to do things." And all of a sudden, you know, I was doing a talk at Business of Design Week, and some factory owners came to me and said, "Look, can you help us make new companies?" And I thought, of course, yeah, sure, why not? But anyway, as soon as the US dollar went down, I started making furniture in China out of money, and then I started sending this around the world to different galleries and selling the money for a lot more than it was actually worth, and that was incredible. Incredible good business. So there's all sorts of different ways to make mechanisms out of your environment. I think combined by this sort of combination of opportunity here, and then I guess what the point I'm going to start to make here is really, for me, combining manufacturing, craft, and technology, mathematics together really brought me to where I am now. And this is just a very simple parabolic mathematical image. But what it actually represented to me was how to bring small parts together into a whole. And this was actually this was very influenced by Asia and its ancient architecture and mathematics, which people seem to have forgotten about. And we started designing a lot of products using different parts and extracting them using modern technology and computers. And the whole story for me of Asia has just been one of evolution. So there's been no direct attempt to do anything in advance. It's all day by day. My whole evolution has come as the result of observation, and now this has become my history. And for me, it's everything that has history becomes beautiful because people respond to things that have a depth of evolution. You can't, for me, just invent something without a spirit. People don't buy it. So, you know, this was actually for a Taiwanese glass company called Tito. It was kind of funny. In Shanghai at the time, this company asked me to design a retail environment for them, and it just so happened that their samples were hexagons as well. So I designed this space for them, which could only really be made in Asia because, for example, this wall had about 10,000 little bits of hexagon, all different shapes, CNC'd. So for me, scaling these things up and down and then creating an environment for a large brand, it doesn't really matter. It's whether it's the retail environment or the small object. These things are all connected, and this story has helped me. People believe in me that I can process information and then put it into something which is concrete. You know, I even took this concept back to Europe. I'm just showing you a bit more craft technologies that interest me, and started making tables out of glass. This is made in Czechoslovakia, but it's all related to the mathematics I've gathered in Asia. And eventually we started to take those processes into greater 3 dimensions and started building huge light installations. This is about half the size of this stage. It's so overly complex. But all of these techniques you'll see relate back to the first thing, which I saw on Hollywood Road, which was little bits of newspaper and how we gather. It's all the golden section, you know, the lesser is to the greater, as the greater is to the whole. And but you know, all of these young kids who, you know, I don't use a computer. I still only use a pencil. So I've got these guys who are half my age now who are just helping me process my classic information in a new way and evolving my ideas into this and remaining sort of keeping old ideas very current. Now, a product like this is insane because though there's a few more stories to this type of thing, because I work in Asia, I've got all of these factories around me. And it was when I was speaking at BODW once, a guy came up to me and said, look, we'll do anything you want, just make it. So I said, look, I want to make a block of aluminium, 1 meter by 1 meter. It has to be the purest grade aluminium. And I want you to CNC a one-piece chair out of it using all of this mathematics that we've learnt. And as a result of being here, just over there in Guangzhou, I'm now actually in April. It's taken me 2.5 or 3 years to make this chair, and finally we found a way. It's polished by hand. It's a ridiculous amount of money to buy these things, but they're sold to collectors around the world. And now I'm about to start a show of this in New York and San Francisco later in the year. And it just goes to show how this small detail technology can go into larger objects. And it's really helped me around here build up my visual language, and when people come to me to ask for projects, they kind of know what they're going to get. Honestly speaking, I didn't practice this. Yesterday I threw a whole load of images in Keynote and thought I'll just ad-lib and rant on the way I do in the office until my staff start making cups of tea and walk off. But you can't. The doors are locked. So anyway, what has happened, because all of these technologies, these materials have helped me build up a kind of visual dialogue. So people or clients who want to work with the studio, they can kind of look at a measure of work and understand if they've got a problem or they need something designing, the sort of things they can get or expect from the studio. And over the years, you know, we've built a sort of a way of communicating what we want to do for people. So we have all of these different ways of being. And although this is actually just some images from a restaurant I'm doing in Paris, we set the tone of the restaurant before because we wanted to combine technology with humanization and this kind of way of using modern materials but making people comfortable with them. So this is our way of telling people how we can do things that create a little universe of humanization, is really what I'd call it, out of things that are actually artificial and you wouldn't really respond to as a consumer, but bit by bit. So this is, you know, these sort of things take a lot of analysis. So going back to really just, you know, I'm sure this will make sense at some point. One of the turning point for me in Hong Kong was when my wife was designing a restaurant, and some clients, I lived in Taiwan for a while before I came here, and some friends of mine opened a restaurant called the Night Market, and they knew that I had experience trying to in that part of the world, and they knew I understood the sort of shabby metal materials, the different colors, combined with you know, the sort of food. Anyway, what this resulted in was my wife saying, "I need a chair for this restaurant, and it's got to be good." So I stayed up all night trying to design a chair using the factories in China. So I actually found a company that made computers a bit like this, and we used one of a supply chain that we're not supposed to really know about. And the result of this project was the start of a new brand. The factory owner just said to me, look, I love this chair. I really think we can make business out of this. So they said, look, why don't you set a brand up and design a whole load of products? We'll support it. And this is what we did, and this was about 4.5 years ago, and it came actually as a result of sort of various recession. You know, they were their sales for making parts and for Panasonic or Sony, whoever, dropped, and they decided they want to do some more, a little arm of the factory. They gave me effectively part of the factory to do anything I wanted. So the first thing I did was get this chair up and ready into production, make a name for the company. I actually asked the factory owner's wife, to make the name, because I thought if the factory owner's wife does something for the company, she'll be proud of it and she'll believe in it and she'll push the company forward. And that, I realized, was very, very a sensible thing to do, because she's really passionate about it. You know, she feels like it's part of her company. Well, it is, but she actually cares. It's not just about nuts and bolts. So this was the first chair, and it kind of became a bit of an icon in many ways in my universe for Hong Kong, because it was a result of being here on the streets, and it's very clever. We could have never done this in Europe. No one would have trusted me to manufacture this, because it's actually very complex. We've got new ways of bending metal that are more akin to making telephones and what have you. So we started to build this brand up, and the story we built into it was really very honest. It's using factories in Shenzhen and Guangzhou, and we decided to communicate the company as such. This is an extrusion, but it's combined with leather. We've got the woodwork is made in Shanghai by craftsmen that are Chinese, but were trained by Japanese woodworkers. So the story is very rich. So we started to build up the identity for the company, which is very industrial, but very, very, very rich. This light has become tremendously. It's actually, I went to their factory, and they make heat sinks for refrigerators, and I said, can you make lights out of this? And it's a very cheap extrusion with fins, but it's, you know, I can't do this stuff in Europe. There are some beautiful factories there, but what I love out here is nothing is impossible, and the engineers keep on fighting and working hard till they make something work. So here we've got two products which are impossible to copy. It's really taken a lot of ingenuity and a lot of different minds to get this sort of stuff together. And now, you know, this light is really leading the finances forward for the company. It's very clean cut, you know. And I recently introduced this, which is another wooden chair I designed. This is for a new restaurant I'm designing in Paris, but we're actually making this in Asia. And of course, you know, people don't think of Asia as a country for woodwork. It's Japan, Sweden, Indonesia, Jakarta, those sort of places. But we really strongly believe in the ethic of all our products are actually made here, and we're proud of that. So you can see a lot of these sort of things probably in Lane Crawford actually, but we've actually finally getting a bit more interest from retailers. Then I started designing other products like shelves, and you know, products like this aren't about making money. They do make money, but not a lot. They're actually about building up a universe and building up an environment, because of course we're going to make the money out of the lights, but we need these products to fill a showroom, to build a story up, and then things like this, which is a writing desk. And I'm slowly but surely building a universe up for this company, all based on my DNA, which is a very honest one from Asia. This is actually one of the second projects in Hong Kong. I didn't design this, they just used our furniture. This is Cafe Dead End, which is a half Japanese and Swedish bakery of all things, and it works really, really beautifully here. Nice wooden counter, and this was a really big pilot project for us, because it showed that our furniture could be used commercially, and we really nurture these clients. You know, we give them free furniture, or if anything happens to it, we keep it clean. It becomes a bit of a benchmark for us, and slowly, surely, we've been launching around the world, and now we've got all of these different retailers starting around the world, and 4 weeks' time we're going to launch a new range of products. Now this has taken 4.5 years to build this brand, but it's taken a lot of faith and a lot of money. But for now, this has really become a Hong Kong brand, and that's come out of fresh air and my enthusiasm to design. Of course, I've got a lot of good people around me. I couldn't do this on my own. It's definitely not about me. It's about democracy, and I'm very democratic. The way I work, I would like, for example, asking the factory owner's wife to get involved. My brand manager, I listen to him. He used to work at Len Crawford. He knows about colors on fabrics. So I'll say, you tell me what color to do this. But I also work for a lot of other